Okay, dear students, up to now we discussed about organisms. Now we shall go with population. Okay, population. What is a population? I already defined what population is. Once again, a group of individuals of same species living together in the same habitat at a particular time and can interbreed among themselves to produce new offspring is called as population. Group of organisms of same species which belongs to the same species living together in one particular area and interbreeding among themselves to produce new offspring is called as population. There are certain characters to the population. Such characters are population dispersion, variation in number, sex ratio, and age distribution and age structure. These are the characters of population which we are going to study. The first one is population dispersion, next is variation in number, next is sex ratio, next age distribution and age structure. First one is population dispersion. What population dispersion is? As the name suggests, it is the distribution of individuals within the habitat. It tells how the organisms have distributed themselves within the habitat. Okay, it is of three types. One is clumped distribution, uniform distribution, and random distribution. In clumped distribution, what happens? The organisms are seen in tight clusters where the conditions are most favorable. Here the conditions are most favorable, hence all the organisms are present here in tight clusters. This is known as clumped distribution. And next one is uniform distribution. Okay, here as the name suggests, here the distribution is uniform throughout the habitat. And next one is random distribution. Here the organisms are distributed randomly without any uniformity. Such distribution is called as random distribution. And next one is variation in number. Population changes with time due to the births and death. Thus the population in an area does not remain constant. Okay, as the time changes, the number of individuals within the population changes. Why? Because due to the births, new organisms are added to the group, and due to the deaths, number of organisms are removed from the group. So the numbers keeps on varying within the population. So it can be expressed in two ways. One is population size and population density. Population size and population density. Then what is population size? Total number of individuals present within the habitat. Total number of individuals present within the habitat is called as population size. To see here, this is one complete habitat, and total number of individuals present within this habitat is called as population size. Then population density, total number of individuals present per unit area per unit time is called as population density. Suppose consider this rectangle. How many organisms are present within this rectangle? How many organisms are present within this rectangle? This forms or population density, and the total number of individuals present within the habitat forms a population size. Next one is sex ratio. It is the total number of males and females per 1000 individuals. For every 1000 individuals, how many males and females are present? This is known as sex ratio. Next one is age distribution and age structure. Okay, the population the individuals of the population can be categorized into three groups based upon their age. One is pre-reproductive age groups, reproductive age groups, and post-reproductive age groups. Pre-reproductive age groups are younger generations, reproductive age groups are middle-aged generations, and post-reproductive or old-age generations. When these age groups is plotted in a graph, we get some pyramid-like structures. That one is called as age pyramids. First one is age distribution. What is age distribution? Number or percentage of individuals of different age group present within the population is called as age distribution. Number of individuals of different age groups. Number of individuals of different age groups present within the population is called as population age distribution. That is of three types: pre-reproductive age groups, reproductive age groups, and post-reproductive age groups. When this is represented in graphical way, then it gives a pyramid-like structure. That one is called as age structures. If the age distribution is plotted on graph, pyramid-like structures are formed. This is known as age pyramids. This graphical representation is called as age structure. When these different age groups are plotted on the graph, we get three types of pyramids. One is triangular pyramids, one is bell-shaped pyramid, one is urn-shaped pyramid. What they tell? First, what is expanding population? Expanding population is a type of population where number of pre-reproductive age groups are more when compared to other two age groups. Such a population is called as expanding population. When the number of pre-reproductive and reproductive age groups are equal, when the first two age groups are equal, that is pre-reproductive and reproductive age groups are almost equal, then it forms a stable population and the shape forms bell-shaped. This one is called a stable population. And next one is declining population, where the pre-reproductive age groups are very less compared to other two age groups. When pre-reproductive age groups are very less when compared to other two age groups, then that one is called as a declining population. So when we plot a graph of different age groups with on the graph, when we plot a graph of different age groups, we get different types of structures. This structure is called as age structure, and always these structures will be in the shape of pyramids, hence they are called as age pyramids. So when we plot this on the graph, we get three types of pyramids, that is which tells whether the population is expanding or population is stable or population is declining. Next one is population growth. The size of the population keeps on changing in time based on the availability of food, predation, availability of food, weather, etc. Factors responsible for fluctuation in the population are natality, mortality, immigration and emigration. Natality is the number of birth, mortality is the number of death, immigration is number of individuals entered into the habitat from elsewhere, and next one is emigration, number of individuals left the habitat. This one is called as population growth. See, this is the if n is the population density and time t is time, then the population density at time t plus 1 can be represented as nt plus 1 is equal to nt into b plus I minus d plus e. So what this equation tells, suppose if n is the population density, then natality, mortality, immigration, emigration. Natality and immigration, what they are doing, they are increasing the population. Emigration and mortality is decreasing the number of population. If come to this equation, if n t plus 1 can be represented as nt into b plus I minus d minus e, where b is number of births, e is immigration, d is death and e is emigration. If b plus I is more than d plus e, if b plus I is more than d plus e, then the population is said to be increasing population. If d plus e is more than b plus I, then it is said to be decreasing population. Population growth models. The population shows two types of growth models. One is exponential growth model or J-shaped growth model. Another one is logistic model, logistic or S-shaped growth model or Verhulst-Pearl logistic growth model. First we shall go with exponential growth model or J-shaped growth model. What happens is, if it can be represented in a graphical way, where the x-axis, on the x-axis there is time, on the y-axis there is population size. Initially the population size is very less. The number of individuals in the population is very less. Why? Because the favorable conditions are not there. The conditions are most unfavorable. So the number of individuals within the population is very less. As the favorable conditions arrive, they start to increase their number. And they reach a point. After this point, their favorable conditions will again disappear. So again they fall down. If this forms a J-shaped curve, and hence this is called as J-shaped growth pattern, where initially when the unfavorable conditions are there, the number of individuals are very less. As the favorable conditions arrive, they start to increase and to go to the maximum. Once they reach maximum, when the favorable conditions are not there, then again they fall back. This one is called as exponential growth model or J-shaped growth model. It can be represented as dn by dt is equal to Rn, where n is population density, t is time, n is population size, and R is biotic potential. What is biotic potential? R is known as biotic potential. It can be defined as it is the ability of the organism to reach its number to the maximum when all the favorable conditions are present. Suppose if we give all the favorable conditions, all the necessary requirements for an animal to grow, and if you leave that animal, how many organisms it reproduces. Suppose take an example of a dog. You give all the necessary requirements for the dog and leave them aside. So how many organisms or how many individuals they produce, that is R. There is the capacity of the individual to increase its number to the maximum when almost all the conditions are most favorable is called as biotic potential. And next one is logistic growth model, or it is also called as S-shaped growth model. So what happens is it can be represented in a graph along time along the x-axis and number of individuals along the y-axis. Here also initially their number is very less. This phase is called as lag phase. Okay, when the favorable conditions arrive, they start to increase very slowly. This phase is called as lag phase, and at a particular point they reach very maximum. This phase is called as log phase, and after reaching a point they start to steady, means number of individuals remain constant. That one is called as exponential phase. Okay, the point at which the number of individuals in the population becomes stable is called as carrying capacity of the habitat. See here, after reaching this point the organisms became, the number of individuals or the graph started to go constant, or it becomes stable. This point is called as carrying capacity. This one is called as carrying capacity. So carrying capacity can be defined as, it is the total number of individuals which can be supported and sustained by the habitat is called as carrying capacity. Suppose for example this is one area. Okay, if in this area only 100 dogs can live in this area, only 100 dogs, so 100 is the carrying capacity of this habitat. If any new dog has to enter the habitat, one dog has to leave the habitat. Why? The carrying capacity is only 100. This habitat can only support and sustain only the 100 dogs. If any one has to enter the habitat, one has to leave the habitat. This one is known as carrying capacity. Total number of individuals or total number of the organisms which can be supported and sustained by the habitat is called as carrying capacity. Again, it can be represented as dn by dt is equal to Rn into k minus n divided by k, where n is population, number of individuals, t is time, r is biotic potential, k is carrying capacity. So it is S-shaped. It is of three S-shaped. It has three divisions: lag phase, where the increase is very slow, and the another one is log phase, where the growth is a little bit more, and next one is exponential phase, where the growth is stable. Okay, lag phase, log phase, and stable phase and carrying capacity. Next we shall go with population interactions. So each and every living organisms which is present on this earth interacts with other organism in one or the other way. The interaction may be for food, shelter, for protection, etc. So as a result of interaction, both the organisms are benefited, or one of the organism is benefited, or both the organisms are harmed. So there are two types of interactions we can see. First one is interspecific interaction, another one intraspecific interaction, and another one is interspecific interaction. Intraspecific interaction is a type of interaction where the interaction is taking place among the same species. It is known as intraspecific. Intra means within, taking place between the organisms of same species. Suppose if there are two dogs and the interaction is taking place among the two dogs, is known as intraspecific. Intra means within. Next one is interspecific. It is a type of interaction taking place among the two different species. Suppose if there is a species A and this is species B, and the interaction is taking place among these two different species, then it is called as interspecific interaction. Interspecific interaction, in this presentation we are going to study only about the interspecific interaction. Interspecific interaction is of two types: positive interaction and negative interaction. Positive interaction is also called as symbiosis. Negative interaction is also called as antagonism. So positive interaction is of three types. Two types: mutualism and commensalism. Negative interaction is of three types: competition, predation, and parasitism. So what is positive interaction? Positive interaction is a type of interspecific interaction. It is taking place among two different species. It is the positive interaction taking place between two different species, where as a result of the interaction both the organisms are benefited, or only one organism is benefited but none of the organisms are harmed. Either both the organism are benefited, or one organism is benefited but none of the organism is harmed. This one is known as positive interaction. Negative interaction, it is a type of interspecific interaction where as a result of interaction one organism is definitely harmed, other may be benefited or not. One organism is definitely harmed, other may be benefited or not. Hence this is known as negative interaction. Next we shall go with positive interactions or positive interaction. It is of under the positive interaction there are two types, mutualism and commensalism. First we shall go with mutualism. Mutualism is a type of interaction where as a result of interaction both the organisms are benefited. Here both the organisms are benefited. Best example is lichen. As you all know, lichen, it is an association of algae and fungi. Here algae prepares the food and gives to the fungi, and fungi absorbs the water and gives to the algae. Hence there is a two mutualistic association. And next one is leguminous plants and rhizobium bacteria. All the leguminous plants, all dal plants, they have the roots are having nodule like structure. Within these nodules this rhizobium bacteria is present. What this rhizobium bacteria does residing within the root nodules, it prepares its own, it fixes the atmospheric nitrogen. It fixes the atmospheric nitrogen, gives to the plant. In turn plant provides space or gives place for its living, and also it provides food for that rhizobium bacteria. Next one is mycorrhizal fungi. Mycorrhiza, it's a type of fungi found associated with many of the roots of the plants. Here what they happen is mycorrhiza is penetrating within the soil. Half body is within the plant body and half body is within the soil. They absorb the water and give to the plant. In turn plant provides food. Here both the organisms are benefited. And next one is sea anemone and hermit crab. What happens in sea anemone and hermit crab? Sea anemone doesn't have locomotory organs, hence it is always found attached to the hermit crab. Hermit crab, it takes the sea anemone to the different places so that it gets food. In turn this hermit crab is not identified by its predators, hence it gets protection. Okay, here hermit crab is protected from the predators, whereas sea anemone is taken to the different places. Next one is commensalism. Commensalism, it's a type of positive interaction where as a result of the interaction only one organism is benefited but other may be benefited or not, but none of the organism is harmed. Here only one organism is benefited, hence it is commensalism. In mutualism both the organisms are benefited. First one is epiphytes. Epiphytes are the plants. Example is epiphytes. Epiphytes are the plants which grow on the different big trees, trunks of the big trees. They are known as epiphytes. Best example is orchids. Orchids, they are found attached to the big plants. They always grow on the trunks of the big plants. So in turn this only here due to this association only this plant, these epiphytes are benefited but the tree is not benefited. Hence here only one organism is benefited, hence it is known as commensalism. And next one is the pilot fish and the shark. Here pilot fish or the small fishes always found, they always accompany the shark. They always roam in and around where the shark moves. Why? As the shark leaves the food, it eats the food, small particles of that eating food falls down so that this pilot fish occupy this. Here as a result of interaction only this small pilot fishes are benefited but shark fish is not benefited, hence it is known as commensalism. And next one is sucker fish. It is a type of an positive interaction where the small fish is always found attached to the shark. This small fish which is found attached to the shark, it is protected by its predators, but because of this predation, because of this association, this large fish is not benefited, only this small one is benefited, hence it is known as commensalism. And next one is negative interaction. Negative interaction is the type of interaction where as the result of interaction one organism is definitely harmed, either one other may be benefited or not. It is known as negative interaction. It is of three types: competition, predation, parasitism. What is competition? When the two organisms of different species compete for the same food, then it becomes competition. Best example is cheetah and lion. They both compete for same predator, that is same prey, that is what? Example, deer. Cheetah and lion attack one deer. There is one deer and the cheetah is attacking, lion is attacking. As a result, there will be a fight between the cheetah or lion. As a result, the more stronger will win. This is known as Gauss principle. The cheetah is going to win, lion is going to lose, or lion is going to win, cheetah is going to lose. In either one organism is going to lose. Which is stronger, that is going to be winning the competition. This one is known as Gauss principle. And next one is eucalyptus. You all know that eucalyptus trees which grow to very long height. So what they do is, when the leaves fall down, they leave these leaves oozes out some chemical compounds so that the other organism cannot grow. It suppresses the growth, those chemical compounds which is coming out of the leaves, fallen leaves of eucalyptus, which suppresses the growth of other plants. This one is again the competition. And next one is predation. As you all know, there are some carnivorous animals which feed on other organism. It is a type of negative interaction. What is happening here? One organism is, deer is harming, whereas lion or cheetah is benefited. Hence it is known as predation. Another next one is parasitism. In parasitism, what happens? One organism called as parasite resides within the organism called as host. In turn, it draws all the food material and shelter from the host, and it destroys the host. Best example is leech, tapeworm, hookworm, etc.